to the second developer update for DXU24. I'd like to start off by saying thank you for all the lovely comments on all my videos and my Twitter posts, or I guess they're X's now. I'm making the product that I would want to play, or what I would want to use, and I'm glad that everybody's excited for that as well. I really enjoy working on it, and I really love the positivity behind all the comments that you guys post. It's been fantastic so far. So I think we'll just jump right into the hard part first before we get into the new features. And it makes me quite anxious to talk about because I never know how people are going to react to it. Although I got a pretty positive sentiment on Twitter when I posed the question, and that is that the project will be sold on Steam at a premium of about $12 US. I originally pitched the price about $5 US, and people were just telling me that that was too cheap. By being on Steam, we plan to have Steamworks integration, so if you want to make a mod or download a mod for a texture pack or a new material pack, it will just be right there for free, so that you can download it and it will automatically integrate with the game. One of the big things I want for this mod is for it to not feel like a mod or a utility where there's a lot of setup involved, a lot of manual work from the user. I would like you to just be able to click install on Steam. It should automatically find your games for you if the registry values are set up correctly when you installed the original games, and it should just work right off the bat. So now that we have that out of the way, we can talk about the features and changes since I last posted a video, which wasn't that long ago, was it? It was, yeah, let's talk about those changes. Unreal Engine 1 comes with a rendering feature that most old school nerds will know as detailed textures. You used to be able to turn them on and it would add high frequency noise or detail to low resolution color textures. But in DXU24, we can take that data and use them to generate more convincing normal maps, roughness maps, specular maps, and generally just make more convincing looking surface materials. It doesn't look great, but it looks better than nothing. I would much prefer bespoke textures for each surface, but yeah, I've got what I got. We have working decals. Check it out. Decals. Cool. I've mostly completed the work of getting the Unreal Engine 1 animations to run on the GPU on the Unreal Engine 5 side. I made a Twitter post a few months ago that I thought I was through the hardest part, and I was really wrong. I've spent the last few months dealing with all sorts of weird bugs and glitches. It's been kind of fun. I actually really like the output of all these weird bugs that keep happening to me. But after digging through a lot of the data and the shaders for the morph target animations and fixing up a few of the bugs in the mesh component plugin I use, they look pretty good now, and there's not that many bugs left in it. So I'm feeling pretty happy with where the mesh animations are sitting right now. There's a couple little more bugs to fix with it, but generally it's not really a focus at this point because it's usable. A lot of my time over the last few months has been occupied making something I call the event buffer, which is a really stupid name. It's really just a language for talking to Unreal Engine 1 from Unreal Engine 5 to modify Unreal Engine 1's behavior at runtime, so we can re-implement AI behaviors or weapons or whatever we want from Unreal Engine 5 using blueprints, and not have to worry about learning Unreal script for Unreal Engine 1 or writing a mod for Unreal Engine 1. We don't have to do that anymore. We can re-implement everything from Unreal Engine 5, which is super handy for implementing the VR side of this utility / modification. Long story short, the event buffer system makes it really easy to make mods in Unreal Engine 5, and it has sped up my workflow significantly for making the VR stuff. It just wouldn't be possible for me to do it as a single person otherwise to have a high quality VR experience without this system. So, VR is a primary goal of DXU24. I've always wanted to play Deus Ex in VR, but it's never really been possible. So let's talk about the VR features. The way the weapons are implemented in Deus Ex is just too limited to be useful in VR for the quality level that I want and presume other players want too. If you watch my first Deus Ex VR video on YouTube closely, then you'll actually notice it's quite low quality in terms of implementation. And to get that far required significant amounts of work and introduced a lot of complexity to my workflow. It just wasn't going to scale to the quality I wanted with the limited time I have to do it. So I've just gone ahead and used my new event buffer system to fully re-implement the weapons and blueprints. It was a great way to prove out the features of the event buffer system, but the flexibility it gave me for my VR implementation simply isn't possible with filthy hacks. I use the pistol as my flagship weapon for proving out my VR interactions, and just allow me to get on my high horse here, but I don't want my VR interactions to simply be you have hand, gun attached hand, you pull trigger, man die. No, I think that sucks. It's not playing to the strengths of VR gaming, and why would you bother playing a VR game like that? Why would you waste your time? Especially an immersive sim of all things. I don't want this to feel like a hacked together VR solution, even though under the hood it is, but it shouldn't feel like it. I really love the Boneworks series of VR games, and if you haven't checked them out, then you should. It has very high quality VR weapon interactions, and it's a good baseline for me for doing the same for Deus Ex. High quality to me means manual weapon reloading with magazines, it means physics-based weapon kickback, it means proper shell casing ejection with physics done in Unreal Engine 5. On the weapons that have animations that support it, it means being able to pull the slide back on the weapon to load a round into the chamber, or even letting the rounds that are there fly off into the ether. And I'm considering adding slide mechanics to weapons that don't have animations that support it, just with like a little knob on the side of the weapon that you can pull back, just as a fun little thing that adds some extra interaction for you to do during the game. We also have a VR-friendly IFS system for identifying friendly, foe or neutral. Currently it uses a gaze-based system that surrounds a pawn with a coloured silhouette, but I've also implemented a light cone that comes out of whatever weapon you're holding, where the colour of the light cone represents both a target's IFF status and the current accuracy cone of the weapon you're holding. I'm not entirely happy with the weapon cone, so I've removed it for now while I still figure out how I want Deus Ex skill system to integrate with VR. I've been working with a modder who calls himself Crimzan to showcase the capabilities of Unreal Engine 5 to upscale some of the older materials of this game, including map textures or even textures on meshes in the game. You can see that here with the pistol. We've been working to try and figure out how to keep the low poly look of the weapon, but give it a really nice looking modern material that creates its own kind of art style, and I'm really liking the way it's looking. He's done an amazing job with all these materials. They look fantastic. Other than that, it's been a lot of bug fixes and performance improvements. Making the application performant has been the biggest struggle of this project up until recently. You would think it would be getting the data from UE1 to UE5, but that's actually quite trivial and extremely fast. The biggest performance bottleneck has been the lighting system in Unreal Engine 5. Normally with an Unreal title, you would design the lighting in your map to either use very few but strategic lights, or use a process called baking to save the lighting data to static light maps and shadow maps so they don't have to be calculated at runtime. However, because I don't hold the copyright to the IP and I don't have the IP holder's permission, I can't take either of those approaches. If I wanted to bake static lighting into the map, I would have to redistribute all the original maps in a format that Unreal Engine 5 understands, and yeah, nah. So the way it works currently in DXU24 is it uses fully dynamic lighting with dynamic shadowing, which is significantly more expensive than if I could use statically baked light maps and shadow maps. But that's the unfortunate nature of avoiding litigation. But don't worry, we can still harvest data from Unreal Engine 1 to make it run fast anyway. Through a process I call waste not, want not, I can still use Unreal Engine 1 to tell me what lights are touching visible map surfaces on screen and use that data to turn off occluded lights in Unreal Engine 5. It significantly saves the amount of resources we use and boosts performance considerably. I've talked a lot about progress and what has been done, but left out a lot of what is still left to do, so we'll cover that now. We'll start with modding. Currently, DXU24 allows you to override materials, textures, and actors from the original game, but it doesn't currently allow you to remove actors from a level or add them in, and that's going to be the next big step for the modding architecture. It shouldn't be a lot of work, but it's been a low priority up till now. One Unreal Engine 1 feature that hasn't come across yet is something called render iterators. Render iterators are a scripted actor in Unreal Engine 1 that allows you to produce some effects with multiples of the same mesh. For example, Deus Ex uses render iterators to produce laser beams and electrical arcs. I had a working implementation of this over a year ago, but having an optimized mesh pipeline means I need to make a new approach. Multiple viewports in the game are currently not supported, but will be very soon. Deus Ex uses this feature for security cameras and spy drones. As you can see, they're just not working yet. DXU24 needs a simple interface for players to interact with, for configuring graphics quality settings, and selecting what game they want to launch with the utility. This is pretty straightforward, but up till now it's been relatively low priority. I need to work on streamlining the end-to-end architecture of DXU24. Currently, it runs by copying DLL files to the target games folder, in this case Deus Ex, making sure that that game is configured to use our renderer plugin, launching the target game, and then launching DXU24. This all needs to be streamlined down to simply launching DXU24 and selecting the install game from the menu that you want to play. In the current iteration of DXU24, when you move the mouse to rotate the camera, it's one frame behind the target game. So I want to decouple the client camera rotation in Unreal Engine 5 from the server camera rotation in Unreal Engine 1 to increase the responsiveness of that camera. This becomes more of an issue at low frame rates. This could potentially become an issue for weapon responsiveness, so I may need to use my VR weapon implementation to also work for non-VR mode, which I believe it does, and it would also allow for physically simulated shell casings, but it still needs a little work. Performance is always an issue for any project, and there will be thousands of optimizations and tweaks I will need to make to get the product feeling good for as many people as possible. I try to respect the visual aesthetic of the original Unreal Engine games while at the same time changing them to look better with what I've got to work with. This is always an ongoing task, so don't take the images you see today or in previous videos as what the final product is going to look like. This is tentative, and I've hinted to some people that my goal was end of year 2023. That's no longer a reality. The thing is, nothing is certain. Other priorities came up. Sometimes there's an expansion pack for Elden Ring or a multiplayer mod. Sometimes work is sucking up all your energy, and other times things are just more complicated than you originally imagined, so work takes longer. Currently, with the recent performance wins, I'm now aiming for a mid-2024 release, and hopefully something earlier for those willing to be beta testers. But again, nothing is set in stone, so you'll have to forgive me if it takes longer. So if you like what you see, join the Discord. If you want to help out with the development, you can chuck me a donation on Patreon, I guess. Everything helps. Don't feel too bad if you don't, because it's $12 on Steam, so whatever. All these will be linked in the description, so go there to check it out. Make sure to follow me on X and subscribe and all that bullcrap. Yeah. It's not like I post a lot of videos though, is it? I don't really post that often. Finally, I'll leave you with a run through of the intro for Deus Ex and a run through of the first segment of the training course. You get a side-by-side with the original game in DXU24 like you've seen throughout some of the other clips in this video, and in some situations you'll see DXU24 currently looks horrible, and you'll definitely see visual bugs. It's the current state of things, and should give you a small idea of what I'm constantly dealing with translating a game from the year 2000 to the year 2023. Thank you.
Your appointment to FEMA should be finalized within the week. I've already discussed the matter with the Senator.
I take it he was agreeable?
He didn't really have a choice.
Has he been infected?
Oh yes, most certainly. When I mentioned that we could put him on the priority list for the ambrosia vaccine, he was so willing it was almost pathetic.
This plague, the rioting is intensifying to the point where we may not be able to contain it.
Why contain it? Let it spill over into the schools and churches. Let the bodies pile up in the streets. In the end, they'll beg us to save them.
I've received reports of armed attacks on shipments. There's not enough vaccine to go around, and the underclasses are starting to get desperate.
Of course they're desperate. They can smell their death, and the sound they'll make rattling their cage will serve as a warning to the rest.
I hope you're not underestimating the problem. The others may not go as quietly as you think. Intelligence indicates they're behind the problems in Paris.
A bunch of pretentious old men playing at running the world. But the world left them behind long ago. We are the future.
We have other problems.
Humanco?
Formed by executive order after the terrorist strike on the statue. I have someone in place, though. I'm more concerned about Savage. He's relocated to Vandenberg.
Our biochem corpus is far in advance of theirs, as is our electronic sentience, and their ethical inflexibility has allowed us to make progress in areas they refuse to consider.
The augmentation project?
Among other things, but I must admit that I have been somewhat disappointed in the performance of the primary unit.
The secondary unit should be online soon. It's currently undergoing preparation and will be operational within 6 months. My people will continue to report on its progress. Necessarily, the primary will be terminated.
We've had to endure much, you and I, but soon there will be order again. A new age. Aquinas spoke of the mythical city on the hill. Soon, that city will be a reality, and we will crown its kings.
I figured you'd be sick of drills by now. Hopefully our training exercises will be more interesting than what they've had you doing at the academy. Open the door by clicking the right mouse button. The right button uses items in the world. The key on the desk opens encryption-based nanotech locks. When you pick it up, it will automatically be added to your keyring. Use the keyring to unlock the door and proceed to the next area. Of equipment during these exercises. Press F1 at any time to access the inventory screen, which will let you add and remove items from the tool belt. Press F2 to view your current goals and any notes you may decide to take. On a typical mission, a UNATCO agent's objectives are logged electronically so that he can stay on task at all times. Now pick up a weapon and try to break open those crates. One of them's indestructible, but the others contain things you might find useful. Now pick up the lockpick and use it to open the door. Lockpicking takes time and expends the self-assembling resources of modern lockpicks. Just be patient and remember your training. At higher skill levels, you won't need as much time or lockpick resources to pick a lock. Doors have two strength values. The door strength tells you how much damage a door takes before being destroyed. The lock strength tells you how many lockpicks will be required to pick the lock. Some doors have an infinite strength and an infinite lock strength. That means you have to find a key. The code to the door has been stored in the data cube. Right-click on the data cube to read the contents, then type the code into the keypad. You activate the keypad with the right mouse button, just like you activate a data cube for any object in the world. Use the disposable multi-tools on the table to hack the keypad up ahead. A multi-tool's resources are finite. When a tool is depleted, it becomes useless. The manual describes other uses for the multi-tool. At higher skill levels, you'll need less time and multi-tool resources to hack a given device.
I'm here to pick up all munitions and equipment. Thanks for the cooperation, Agent.
Lying in front of you is a brave cadet who volunteered to be rendered unconscious for this next training exercise. Highlight and search him to find the key to the medical room. Afterward, pick up his body and place it on the medical table so that one of my aides can revive him once the exercise is over. Good work. I'll get someone down there immediately to revive Private Winslow. Move on to the next area. You can bet this won't be the last time we send you into a dark room. Turn on your light augmentation and find the exit on the other side. Just press F12 by default. Not a mech, but you're enough of a machine to need repair bots now. If you used up some bioelectric energy getting through the dark area, for example, this contraption can charge you back up. Congratulations, you completed Phase 1. Move over the ramp into the next rooms to begin learning movement skills. We'll be watching you through the cameras, like the one you can see up in the corner. In the field, remember that terrorists sometimes use cameras like this in their security grids to set off alarms and alert guards to your location. Jump across the platforms. You'll have to crouch to get under those pipes. If you fall, use the stairs to begin again. You need to go through the door up ahead, but it's blocked. Those wooden crates are too big to jump and too heavy to lift, so use the metal crates near the wall to build steps. To pick up a crate, walk up to it so that it highlights, then click the right mouse button. To drop something you're holding, you can press the tab key by default. Now go up the ladder at the other end of the room. By default, you look up and use the arrow keys to climb. get some complaints about this swimming obstacle because the water's contaminated. Recruits forget to grab the hazmat suit and end up in my office. Not pretty. Or they forget that they have to put the suit on by selecting it and pressing the left mouse button. Remember that the hazmat is disposable. You can wear it only once, and it operates only for a fixed duration. Use the ramp on the other side of the pool to climb out. These medical bugs, normally used for quick healing, are of particular interest to you, JC, because you need a bot's help to install new augmentations. If you took any damage during the swim, now's a good time to get patched up.
And in your equipment. That's right. No cheating. You aren't done yet.